Call this meeting to order. I have 7 o'clock and Alderman Spears is here. We're going to get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Present. Here.
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 Here. Here.
Do we have any amendments to tonight's agenda? Diane?
I just wanted to pull off consent agenda item 10.
Okay. Which one? I'm sorry.
Disorderly conduct and drug paraphernalia.
Number 10. 10. We'll put that on the Public Safety Committee report. Any other amendments? I did have one. Like I said, last meeting I was going to meet with someone, local company, about marketing the city in place of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Well, they're here this evening. They did have a previous commitment, so I asked them if they would come tonight and just talk briefly, and I'd get them out of here quickly. I'd like to bump them up to presentations and have that discussion right after that if nobody objects. Great. Okay, all in favor of these amendments, say aye. 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 Opposed? Okay, so we'll go right into that. There's Jason Pasola from Pasola Media Group here. I did meet with him last week. Unfortunately, I met with him late in the week, so we didn't get anything in the packet. But we just had a high-level meeting. I wanted him to save most of it to present in front of the council.
Good evening. That's not good. We're having technical difficulties right now. All right. Once again, good evening. Thank you for letting me speak this evening. In regard to what the mayor and I had met about previously. My name is Jason Pasola. I live in the city of Yorkville. I've been a resident in Yorkville since 2005. My company, Pasola Media Group, has been within the city limits of Yorkville since 2005 as well. I've been in the advertising and marketing world or field for 17 years, whether with my original parent company, Mobiles Incorporated, or currently Pasola Media Group. I work with national brands, such as some of the largest brands out there, Coca-Cola being one of them. I also operate marketing departments as a third-party administrator for fast casual food chains, weight loss clinics, and the like. What the mayor and I discussed was what the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau has done for the city. What they've done, I think, is perfectly fine. They have a great book. I've seen it. What I propose is partnering with a company that has the city's interest at heart. It seems that there are many exciting things taking place in Yorkville. It's almost as if we have a bubble around the city of Yorkville, and everything within this bubble is becoming stronger. There's a lot of movement, there's activity going on constantly. And what I think the city should do is partner with an advertising marketing firm to drive the brand of Yorkville. If you think about Naperville, think about Oswego, think about Geneva, it gives you a feeling. It's a brand. It's something that needs to be developed, driven and developed. The Pasola Media Group has prided itself, I have prided myself, on always doing what I say I'm going to do. So if we say we will do it, we will. What is the main goal? The goal is to drive the brand, create and drive the brand of Yorkville. If we have a cohesive brand and people know what's going on in Yorkville, it's going to drive traffic to the city of Yorkville. How many times have you heard recently, or at least in the last 3 years, Oh, you have a water park out there? Oh, that's great. I had no idea. I hear it constantly. You hear about, and I express about the whitewater course in Yorkville. We were awarded that. That's insanely cool. There is no one that has anything like that within 300 miles. Yet, I think it's underexposed. I personally think that if we developed Yorkville centered around a creative campaign that will draw people to our city, that we will develop our heavily underdeveloped asset. I personally think that exposing Yorkville and all it has to offer is what the goal should be moving forward. We have the largest water park in the state of Illinois. We have Lion Farm. We have state parks. We have historical buildings. We have the whitewater course. I think that these things need to get outside and not be part of a larger pie that we all participate in, but may not get the direct effect from. I think that I would be able to, through my company and my team, develop a brand that we could drive Yorkville and drive traffic into the city of Yorkville. Driving tourism traffic to Yorkville through an exciting vision of Yorkville. I tell people I'm from Yorkville, they say, oh my goodness, how far is that out there? No, it's actually about 30 to 40 minutes from anywhere. And there's more going on here than is going on in any other suburb I know of. We have a complete redevelopment going on of our downtown area, as you know. That, I would assume, would be complete, or the first phase of it be complete before the holidays. That's something that people need to know about. That's something that needs to be developed for the traffic flow in the downtown area. By driving traffic to the city of Yorkville, we will increase leisure time business for lodging, restaurants, shopping, and entertainment in Yorkville. We have so much going on in the downtown area as well as in the surrounding area. People need to know about this. What the Soul Media Group will do for the city exactly, I personally invested in the growth of Yorkville. I personally would love to see Yorkville grow because obviously I'm going to benefit from that. I'm a business owner within the city of Yorkville, and anything good for Yorkville is good for me. I proposed that I would operate a marketing department, for lack of a better term, as a third-party administrator for the city of Yorkville, meaning I would help control and drive the brand of the city of Yorkville. One of the first things we would do is the creation of an interactive website. This wouldn't be a regular website. It would be an interactive, fun, hospitable website that would actually explore what we have to offer in the city of Yorkville. Currently, if someone's looking for information in and around the city of Yorkville, what is the first thing they're going to do? Pick up their handheld device and put in Yorkville. One of the first things that comes up may be the city site. The city site is great for information, but it doesn't exactly draw you in. I would create a website, 2 sites I'm proposing, which I've already locked up. Visit Yorkville.org. Discover Yorkville.org. The power of the internet and being mobile device friendly is the world of today. Remember the yellow pages? Who keeps the yellow pages? This is what people do nowadays. We would base all of our marketing on a quarterly marketing calendar that would be agreed upon through an advisory board that we would also create. This quarterly marketing calendar can be updated and changed on a whim. So if we had a festival planned and inclement weather or whatever would take place, we would have the ability to change that, update it live on the website, and get it out to all of our, via our social media outlets. So we would be living in the electronic world. We wouldn't be worried about, a book sitting on a rack somewhere in the state of Illinois. Yorkville's largest draws would be the centric portion of visityorkville.org. So we would, if someone was to search for a water park in the Chicagoland area, if someone was to search for a whitewater rafting course, if someone was to search for state parks, something similar to Lion Farm or Lion Farm itself, our site would pop up, exposing the city of Yorkville. One of the other things that would help drive awareness of the city of Yorkville would be all public relations done through Soul Media Group would be Yorkville-centric. Meaning, if something was going on in Yorkville, it would come from our perspective, not from a perspective of a group, not from a perspective of an outsider or someone outside of the city of Yorkville. It would be driven and cultivated from the city of Yorkville. Social media is going to be extraordinarily powerful in this. I have a social media expert, my creative director, Connie Rader. She's going to come up and give you a quick dissertation on what exactly we would do with the social media direction for the city of Yorkville.
Good evening, thank you. We feel social media is a captive audience that is vastly being underutilized by the city of Yorkville as it stands today. If you were to search Yorkville on Facebook, you would be hard-pressed to find information about the city. So what we're proposing is a properly engaged public Facebook page. Solar Media proposes that we utilize Facebook, that we utilize the city's already existing Facebook page that is out there, but we change it up. We make it a fan-friendly Facebook page. The Yorkville, we call it the Yorkville Tourism Facebook page, and it will solely be centered around events and attractions that are happening in Yorkville. Solar Media Group also will be responsible for posting in real time fan engagement. Fan engagement is where it's at. If you have a Facebook page and you're not engaging in your fans or commenting back or thanking them for liking your page or just asking them questions about what they would like to see happening in the city of Yorkville, then you're really basically out on Facebook for no reason at all. You want to engage fans, and you want to make sure that they're fully aware of everything that the city has to offer. And Facebook is an absolute wonderful place to do that and build off of your existing fan base currently and watch it grow. Posts could include what would not be limited to attraction highlights, facts about historic regions of Yorkville, hotel stay and information specials, event promotions, opening of tourism attractions. Again, this would all solely be based on what is going on in Yorkville, not anywhere else. We would use social media best practices when it comes to posting time-wise, and how frequently you're supposed to post. There's best practice when it comes to that in social media, and we know how to do it. We also recommend a Pinterest page. Pinterest is an online bulletin board that is widely used to promote destination travel. We would create a Pinterest page for the city of Yorkville that shares your images of attractions and places to visit. These images would be posted on the Pinterest main board and shared in real time. And what this does is it draws tourists to these attractions. Once something is posted, they say, I want to go there. That's a whitewater rafting place. Where is that at? And it's linked back to the city. This is stuff that's going on in real time, and Pinterest has actually seen 460% sales increase since its inception with retail outlets and with travel destinations. That's a huge amount, and that's a piece of the pie you actually want to be getting. We would also create a Twitter page. Twitter will be used to microblog to gain followers regarding tourist attractions and current events being held in and around Yorkville. An example would be the Sweetness Run. We've already talked about whitewater rafting, but what we would use is hashtagging to trend on Twitter and gain followers through that. Lastly, we would recommend a YouTube channel dedicated solely to Yorkville. We would use and create videos of live events, main tourist attractions in and around Yorkville. In addition to building an audience, social networks have a place that attaches the city's website to a wider audience. And it helps with our search engine optimization so that we can start to gain rank in search engines so that our Yorkville City website that we create would creep up in popularity. So that's our social media platform.
All right, now, when it comes to the book, I understand everybody likes the book. I get it. What I propose is that we do something similar to the book, but just like Naperville, more Yorkville-centric. Meaning, instead of one of the larger books, we go with more of a pamphlet that lets people know exactly what Yorkville has to offer, ads from our local businesses, information in regard to anything and everything Yorkville. So this is something that would be part of the Pasola Media Group proposal. We would include producing these and putting them in and around the city of Yorkville and anywhere and everywhere around the state that would actually accept them. So I would have a book. The main focus of this, though, the direction that I would like to take the city would be, we need to think about the future and be cognizant of handheld devices, the way people gather information today, because it's not like the old days. Typically, if I'm in town, I'm at a hotel, I'm staying at the Hampton Inn in a city I haven't been in before, I'm going to pull up my mobile device and I'm going to put in restaurants in Yelp, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to tell me where to go. Typically, I'm not going to go down and grab a book. So there's the direction that I'm trying to go. I'm trying to take this in a more electronic, forward-thinking fashion. We also would be the exclusive United City of Yorkville graphic design firm. The reason that is important is because if we were to develop this brand, it needs to be protected and driven, meaning anyone and everyone that would like to link to us externally through our website, or would like to, one way or another, promote the city of Yorkville, or even an exchange, we would make sure that the proper logos, branding was to go out to all of these outlets. Proposed top-of-mind awareness advertising would be based on budget, but we could easily do outdoor, meaning billboards, and radio as well to draw people in and let them know what is going on in and around the city. Accountability. Accountability would become an extension of the city, meaning everything we do is going to be planned and brought forward in front of the city to be approved. I also would, I don't want to say demand, but I would like to create a tourism advisory board of the stakeholders in the growth and development of Yorkville, meaning one or two of the aldermen, Raging Waves Water Park, perhaps Mr. Tollefson, perhaps Rachel Conover. This board would then determine the direction of which way the city would go on a quarterly basis that obviously could be changed at any time. But once we decide on that quarter, all of our Facebook and social media would be directed around that. The website would change in real time based on this marketing calendar. We would be interactive and reacting to and being proactive to the people following Yorkville. Open lines of communication, full transparency and disclosure. There wouldn't be anything that wouldn't be approved. You would know exactly the direction that you would be going. The bottom line is, what we are creating is on a public forum. If we are going to drive the brand of Yorkville, we want to make sure that it is cohesive and driven in a proper direction. The Pasola Media Group has been in business for 17 years. In this day and age, that's something that is a bit of an anomaly. I always have produced and made money for my partners or any companies that I've worked with. And what I say I'm going to do, I do. Contract term, I would propose a 3-year term. It would take 3 years in an aggressive campaign to see results. In the first year, we would implement change. The second year would be growth and development. The third year the beginning of the third year would be the tidal wave of results that we would deliver. Cost, 90% of the generated hotel tax, based off of the tax revenue budgeted for the United City of Yorkville tourism and entertainment. Now, considering the value that the Pasola Media Group would be giving the city, the 90% tax is actually 90% of the generated hotel tax is quite a low dollar amount, meaning your bang for your buck is exponential. And because I invested in this and I want to see the city of Yorkville grow and thrive, is the reason that I'm willing to do this. I want to move forward. I want to see you put up 2 or 3 more hotels. I would love to see the city of Yorkville explode. I personally see a very bright future for the city of Yorkville. And if we develop this brand and drive it in the marketplace and position Yorkville as a destination city, we would become one of the largest destinations in the western suburbs of the Chicagoland area. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do you have any questions for Jason? Yes, sir.
Are we paying for this now with the hotel tax, right?
Correct.
And are you saying that no matter what that 90% is, do you have is there any add-on? What's the hidden fees?
I have no hidden fees. It would be based on 90%. It's like I said before, I'm not exactly saying that I'm going to go into business to lose money. However, in this situation, to gather and drive the city of Yorkville, I'm not so worried about the bottom line. I am more so thinking that I would take whatever funds were available and drive the brand, especially in the first year, because that's when the heavy lifting is done. And that's when more work than the value of the 90% coming into my company would be, honestly.
If we went with a company with the domain names, the branding, all the intellectual property, would that be then owned by the city of Yorkville, not by you?
Correct.
Okay.
The reason that I reserve those, just so you know, I would never come into a meeting like this and propose something that I couldn't
Right,
go
because I go online right now and buy it.
Yes, sir.
Right, I
You couldn't.
understand. Right, I understand. And then as far as the pamphlet that you're proposing,
Yes, sir.
would that be a revenue neutral pamphlet where the local businesses would pay to get into that? Or would that just be open to any Yorkville business and it would come out of the 90%?
That's open for discussion. If there was an opportunity for Solar Media Group to sell ads in the pamphlet, I would be fine with that. If not, then I would make it revenue neutral. It would come directly out of the 90%.
Thank you.
Now, you're proposing that your fees would be based on 90% of the hotel tax.
Yes.
Which is a fluctuating number. If for some reason down the road we had a decrease in our revenues from the hotels, would that be acceptable to your contract terms to truly follow a 90%?
It would have to be, because I'm not going to ask for more than your pot can provide.
You understand that is a fluctuating number that can go down. If we see that we step outside of the Visitors Bureau and things start to go down, which I'm not saying that it would, but there is a risk of potential that our revenues from that could decrease. It very well could increase, and then there's a greater market.
The way I've always done business is I'm very equitable, and my thought is I'm going to agree to 90% of the revenue generated in hopes that that money is actually going to increase, that we would attract another hotel, and that money could double, because then we're going to have that much more in our war chest to move forward. I've always proposed situations that would be equitable for both sides. In this case, the first year especially is very equitable for the city of Yorkville.
No.
All right, so you're saying that, where do you make your profit out of? A percent of the 90% taken in? Because obviously you have to do something.
It would be in website development. The hard printing cost of the pamphlet, obviously, is going to be, in my estimation, about 25% of the money generated. And that's based on 75,000 pamphlets. So that's where I'm going. The social media, obviously, we're going to be running that from the office. So based on the marketing calendar that we're going to agree to, I'm going to make it work. I don't know how else to tell you. In the second year is where more so I would have the structure put in to where the foundation has been built, to where that more of the heavy lifting has taken place in the first year, to where the second and third year honestly would be more profitable for my company.
Well, if you do your job, like Chris saying, hotels go down, but if you do your job, you get more people in town.
Absolutely correct, 100%. And that would be my goal, by the way.
It would be.
Yes. Anyone else?
Any other questions? I do have the contract for the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. I don't know if there's going to be much discussion on that. We'll probably table that. So if there's no other questions at this point, Jason, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you all very much, I really appreciate it.
And I'm sure we'll be discussing this more at a committee level. And let you know. Okay, next we have our third public hearing for the rec center purchase. At this point, it's kind of moot because we're going to referendum. It's really in the public's hands. I will open up public hearing for the rec center purchase. Are there any citizens who have not spoken on a previous public hearing that would like to address the council on the rec center purchase? Did you already address the council on this issue? Okay, sure, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Bob Mays, and this is my third time talking in favor of the rec center. I've lived here in Yorkville for over 50 years. I live at 706 Morgan, and I've been a member of the rec center since it was Club 47, and then the rec center. I would like to remind the council members that I don't want to waste time telling you all the statistics about the rec center, but I don't think the council members probably realize how much material is involved in the rec center. And also, I would like to mention that it will be a definite asset to the city of Yorkville if they can say that we have a rec center and all the facilities that are available. And with all of the equipment in the rec center, I'm sure that the total cost of building the rec center and equipping the rec center would only be about 1/4 of the total cost of the building. And I would really like to encourage more conversation with the workers. If I had that building, I certainly would not want it to go downhill and be destroyed. And if we could just talk to the Walker family some more and see what we can come up with. I realize that this is a tough decision for all of you to vote on, because it is a lot of money for the city of Yorkville. However, to duplicate that facility, I'm sure that it will be more than $8 million or $6 million, whatever the estimate comes in at. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll close public hearing in the rec center. Is this rec center, Lisa, or citizen council? Okay.
My name is Lisa Peterson. I'm a resident of Yorkville. I've spoken before about the rec center public hearings, and there's just a couple of points I want to point out. I understand that the rec center we're going to be purchasing for $2.5 million from the Walker family at 6% interest over 20 years. So it'll total $4.35 million. However, the property is only appraised at $3.5 million. And I just kind of want to point that out one last time for the record. I have a problem paying $850,000 over the appraisal value for this property. And if anybody was purchasing a home or going through a bank, you would not get a loan over the appraisal price. Normally, what I do with these is that they go in the recycling bin before they even come into my house. I had to actually request a second copy of this from Bart. And I went through here, and out of the 73 classes offered to children, only 31 are actually held at the rec center. So that's less than half of the classes that the rec center or the park district or the park board offers that are actually held at the building that we're talking about purchasing. And for the cost, I think that the city could do better through the school district. Another issue I have that I had asked about before was, I know in the lease agreement, which that's a completely different thing, but in the lease agreement, the Walker family got free memberships to the rec center. And I don't know what that cost is. I had asked for a cost, and I got a list of 27 members of the Walker family and a list of the rec center pricing. So I don't know how many are children, how many are adults. I'm assuming roughly it's $12,960 a year. 27 members times $480 for an adult membership. I realize all of them aren't adults, but $12,000 a year that isn't listed as an expense because the city is not collecting the membership dues from potential members. And before I had requested a purchase, I had requested it as a Freedom of Information Act, the actual purchase agreement between the city of Yorkville and the Walker family. And I was told that the city was still in negotiations with the Walker family and that as soon as the purchase agreement was finalized, it would be posted on the city website and made public. And I'm assuming that you're still in negotiation with the Walker family because I have not seen that on the website yet. And you're asking the residents and the voters and the taxpayers to vote in November as to whether they want to purchase this facility or not. We need to see the agreement. We need to see, before we can decide whether we want to purchase this building or not, we need to see what we're talking about, what it is we're agreeing to purchasing. And I would like to see the actual finalized purchase agreement posted on the city website at least 30 days in advance of this referendum vote in November. I don't want to see it just thrown on there a couple of days before the vote. I think the residents have a chance to review the purchase agreement. I would hope that the Walker family isn't going to be getting a free membership. I realize that they're selling it to the city. However, once they enter into a purchase agreement with the city, they're not going to own the property anymore. The city will, and if the city is going to give free memberships to the Walker family, then they should just give a free membership to anyone that wants it. It's been brought up for discussion several times at the ad hoc committee meetings, and once here, I believe, at the city council meeting or the committee of the whole meeting. And this is something I would like addressed. I would like answered by the city. It's been brought up several times if the Walkers even have a free and clear title for this property, that they're even in the position that they can actually be selling it to the city. And that needs to be addressed as well. Before the residents can vote in November to decide whether we want to purchase this building or not, we need to know if the Walkers are even in a position that they can be selling it to the city, if they do have a free and clear title on it, or if they have outstanding liens or loans against it. And I would like that information made public. I feel that the residents and the voters have a right to know that. And I'm just a little confused as well because at the July 27th City Council meeting, it was stated that the city is not in a position to be able to afford $4 million in bonds. And to me, $4 million is $4 million. $4 million is a lot of money. And any way you slice it or dice it, it all comes out the same. $4 million is $4 million. So I'm just a little confused if the city is not in a position that they can afford $4 million in bonds over the next 20 years to purchase this building or to build a new facility, how they are in the position to be able to afford $4 million to pay the Walker family for 20 years. So I'm very confused over that. The city either has the money or they don't. And I know there's some residents that want it. I just feel if more residents wanted it, you'd have more membership. You only have 1,400 members. It's only 8% of the population. There's 15,600 residents that do not use this facility, that either don't care about it one way or another, or don't want to spend the money for it. And I just, the rec center, it's never been profitable. And I think if it was a good deal and more people wanted it, you'd have more members and it would be profitable. But it never has been. and I just do not see this as a good investment for the city of Yorkville, especially considering the fact that they have over 32 million of outstanding bond debt that they need to pay back. And right now you have things on the city budget that you don't have accounted for of how you're going to pay for. So it just makes me really wonder and question when our roads are in the shape that they are. And I had a Viola garbage truck fall through my road a couple of weeks ago, right out in front of my house. So roads in my neighborhood are really bad shape, and when you have water mains that are 80 years old, and I just don't feel that this is a necessary expense for the city at this time. Thank you.
Any other public comment on the rec center before I close the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on to citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to the business of the city council. First is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Olszewski,
Aye.
Spear,
Aye.
Munns,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Seelig,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye. Next, we have 3 sets of minutes for approval. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the ad hoc committee for recreation facility alternatives for July 9th, 2012, the minutes of the committee of the whole for July 10th, 2012, and the minutes of the regular city council for July 24th, 2012 as presented. Comments?
So moved.
Second? Comments or questions on the minutes? Yes, Ms. Masuski.
On the city council, July 24th, page 1, the Knights of Columbus recreational scholarship, I thought it says there was no presentation given at that time. I thought they did show up and they gave us a check. They not?
They were here at the Cal meeting.
That was.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm getting them confused. Then there was something else. Hang on. Just a comment. When we have minutes for approval and there are corrections, is it proper to list the corrections so that they can be reflected back, not just say there were corrections? Should you, because doesn't this set correct the last set so you know what corrections were made? Should they be?
The correction should be reflected in the minutes of this meeting.
So they should be more specific?
It just.
In this, okay. So I'm on page 3, under, you just said I had 2 corrections, but you didn't specify it. I think that would be hard in the future to look back and know what the corrections are.
What the procedure has always been under tradition of Yorkville is that we do the two-thirds. We normally say exactly what the council members are saying with regard to the corrections, and then there's a notation put on the minutes that are corrected, so that when you read the minutes, you know you have to go to the minutes of the next meeting to see exactly what the corrections were. So I don't know if that was done, but that is a good practice, because it's a double whammy, so you're never confused.
Okay, and then on page 4, Alderman Gilson read an email from Mrs. Peterson. Is that going to be attached to the final minutes? You didn't say see attached. I didn't know if we had a copy, because it doesn't elaborate what the email was about. On top of page 4, do you know if that will be, if you had a copy of that?
Were they read into the record?
Yes, they were.
Can we possibly get a copy of those? Do you know? We'll tend to that, thank you.
Okay, and then I had one other, bear with me. On page 7 of the minutes, middle of the page, you had a comment that I said that it was up to voters to educate themselves. I said, I suggested putting information in the newspapers, websites, et cetera, so that voters could educate themselves. Right in the middle of the page. Bottom of a paragraph, the next paragraph is a one-line, Alderman Kalismo called the question. It's right above that. If you could please listen to the tape or clarify that, I'd appreciate it. And then last, on page 8 of 9, under appointment of city clerk and treasurer. I just think it doesn't make sense, the beginning sentence, if you could just kind of look at it and. Yeah, it says Alderman Milszewski, I can't say my name, Milszewski, brought up the of having a referendum, eliminating, it doesn't, the grammar isn't proper, it doesn't make sense. If you could please correct that, thank you. That's it.
Alderman Postma?
For the July 24th meetings, the bottom of page 8, top of page 9, it states that we approved the Labor Council contract with the Yorkville Sergeants. We did not approve the contract with the Sergeants, we tabled it. So it's not approval, it's tabled. We approved, the bottom of page 8 is fine, where we approved the contract with the patrolmen. But the top of page 9, it says we approved the contract with the sergeants, and that has not yet happened.
Alderman Funkhauser?
Page 4 of 9 of July 24th. Last paragraph, Line Commission, a few lines from the bottom. Just a clarification, it says there was a concern by the district about having units. If we could just clarify that is the fire district. Then page 5 of 9. Not quite halfway into the paragraph. It states there are several levels of buffering which have to be in place. No penetration is supposed to happen in this facility, for there are layers. Just want to clarify how that is worded. That says no penetration is supposed to happen in this facility, for there are layers. I believe that's referring to any bullets exiting the building. I just want to clarify that. If you could go through and clarify that that is how it's supposed to be interpreted.
Spears?
Oh, the same notes, July 24th, the very first page, last sentence. It says he believes the price of 2.5, and it should be million in there. That's it.
Anyone else on minutes? So we'll vote to approve the minutes as corrected. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving on to mayor's reports. I will entertain a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Ken Cope as Alderman of Ward 1 to serve the remainder of George Gilson Jr.'s term of office. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. We did receive four applications for this position. Went through all the applications, looked at them closely. Ken has been serving the city for 12 years now on the city's park board. I really thought Ken was a good choice, a good fit for the city council. So with that, I'll open it up to comments or questions. Yes, sir.
I think Ken's an excellent choice. I've known him a long time, and being that such a short term that he's filling here, I think it's extremely important we have somebody that has some city experience, and obviously Ken has it, so I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, obviously, being in Ward 1, I got a lot of emails regarding this situation, and I want to thank Ken for taking the time out to meet with me. We met for over 2 hours and had a long, lengthy talk. Initially, when the mayor announced the appointment, I did have some reservation, not as far as Ken personally, because anybody who knows Ken knows him to be a good guy and honest, straightforward. After meeting with him, I have a feeling we might not see eye to eye on everything, but overall, I think he does have the city's best interest at heart. So I am going to vote for him. I hope he's true to his word to everything we discussed about during our meeting. And eventually in April, it will be up to the voters to decide whether he stays or whether he's replaced. So I wish him the best of luck.
Anyone else? Alderman Spears?
I've known Ken also for many years and had a lot of discussions with him. And my main concern was Ken was just going to be blindsided as far as parks and recs and we discussed this, and I think I've changed my opinion now. Ken said, assured me that he's not going to be strictly parks and recs. He's going to evaluate everything and give everybody a fair chance, and also with his experience, and he's well aware of the main issues that the city is facing. And he did take the time out to come and visit with all the aldermen, which I think is remarkable. And I will support him also.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to thank him for coming out. We spent a good amount of time talking together, talked about a lot of different issues. He has served for 12 years on the park board, and that was kind of a concern whether it would be single-sided. But after talking with him, I don't see that that's an issue, and if there were any concerns, it is, as Larry said, a short term to basically prove himself. And I have no problem voting for him, giving him the opportunity. He's willing to step up and put himself in a position up here on this council to have to deal with these issues on a day-to-day basis. So he has support from myself.
All righty. No other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Cut,
Aye.
Lens,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Rosenbaum,
Aye.
Mountcasner,
Aye.
Krasinski,
Aye.
Sealing.
Aye.
Well, Mr. Coates, it sounds like you survived the vetting process. Why don't you please step forward and be sworn in? I,
I think so.
have been appointed to the office of Alderman Ward 1
I've been appointed to the office of Ward 1
in the United City of Yorkville,
in the United States of Yorkville,
in the county of Kendall, aforesaid,
in the county of Kendall, as first said,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Alderman Ward 1
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Alderman Ward 1
of the United City of Yorkville
of the United States of Yorkville,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard. Okay. Next, we will move on to a motion to approve the ordinance regarding city council procedures and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute. Who made the motion, Chris? And, right. As it says in the package, this is something that I put on the agenda as a request by Alderman Funkhauser to see how many of you liked our summer schedule and wanted to stick with it, or who wanted to go back to regular committee meetings and to city council meetings a month. I'm impartial, I can go either way, whatever the will of the council is, I'm fine with. Alderman Funkhauser, did you want to open
Yeah.
up since you've actually put it on?
Yeah, just real quick. Obviously, if we do nothing this evening, we do revert back to the standard traditional committee structure. What's in here is a proposal of 2 town meetings, 2 council meetings. It basically gives us a little more opportunity. Instead of having just a summer schedule of 2 meetings, it's 4 meetings without the committees. So that's a proposal that's on the table. If, like I said, if it's not supported, it reverts back to committee. I think that the meetings have been functional and very successful. I haven't heard really objections from staff. I talked to our clerk about how things were going, or our deputy clerk. She supported it. And aside from the mayor having a few more meetings, I think the majority of staff has fewer meetings to an extent and a little less, but there were no huge negatives that I saw to it. I know we had a couple longer meetings, but overall, it was less time. I don't have an issue with the time. I just thought it was a very good and functional system. If you continue, we do. If not, we don't.
Very well thought out persuasive argument there. Alderman Close.
I could not disagree with Alderman Hauser more than I do on this issue. And let me make myself clear as to why, all kidding aside. Our committee of the whole is easier, absolutely. But with all due respect, we're not elected to do the easier route. We're elected to do the thorough, the route that's in the interest of the residents. Are committees more work? Yes, they are. Regular committees are more work than committee of the whole. However, for example, I anticipated, I didn't know this was coming up when I talked to my residents. There's an issue that's in my ward. I scheduled it for my committee coming up next month in public safety. I've called the residents, several of them are going to be there. In a committee meeting, we would be in the committee room, we would be sitting around the table with the residents, they would ask questions, I will answer their questions, we'll have dialogue, we'll go back and forth, we'll vet the issue, we'll really get to the bottom of it, and then we'll make a recommendation to come before the council. You can't do that in committee of the whole. You can't communicate, you can't have that interaction. The number one complaint we saw in our survey is communication with the alderman. When Lisa was up there speaking today during public comments, and she had questions and things about the rec center, I knew the answer to almost all of them. But in this setting, in the committee of the whole, while we sit out here in this type of procedure, I can't interrupt her and say, oh, I got the answer for you, Lisa, let me tell you, it's this, or I got the answer for you, it's that. But in the committee, we can't. We can have a conversation with our residents. We can go back and forth, and we can really get to the bottom of the issues. So is it more work? Yes. But if we have committee of the whole, it's a disservice to the residents. We need to go back to our committees. And not only do we need to go back to our committees, in administration, we're going to come out with an ordinance that changes it back to regular committees 12 months out of the year, not shifting it back to Cow in the summers as it's currently stated. So I would highly encourage the aldermen to vote against this. We're doing our citizens a disservice. We tried it. It didn't work. I voted against it before. I'm voting against it today. And if we continue down that committee of the whole route, when are our residents supposed to sit down with us and talk to us? I mean, we make ourselves available, but maybe they're not available. They have jobs. They have things to go to. They can't take the time out of their day to come see us. The only time they have an opportunity to sit down and speak with us is at these committees. And through the committee of the whole, we can't have an interaction and a communication with them. So I would ask that you vote against this. Thank you.
Also very well thought out. Yes, Alderman Spears.
And you may be the tiebreaker, so pay attention. I also agree with Alderman Carlsmo. The committee of the wholes, I think, were a disaster. They were not functional. We did receive some information that in committee of the whole, we did not get some financial information in our packet because staff was actually overwhelmed with putting together the first packet that we got. I believe it was, over 300 pages that we had to review. More than that, probably close to 2,000 maybe, it seemed like. But also, I don't think we were accomplishing what we should have been. And we did do committee of the whole several years ago and realized that that was not the way to go. I think we do accomplish more in our committee meetings, and we do have more discussion and bring it back to city council. And the length of the committee of the whole meetings is ridiculous. I know that we also took some items, I believe, off the agenda because the hour was so late, and it was like, well, we can just pass this on to the next meeting. And again, I think that that is a disservice to our residents to continue with this, and I hope that we do all vote it down and it never comes back again.
Yes, I've been through both, and they do both have their pros and cons. Alderman Cox?
Yeah, I've sat through many different types of meeting structures, and I think for the summer schedule, it worked for the summer, even though we had some long meetings. I mean, we had less meetings, but they were longer, and with a lighter schedule, that worked. But what we go back to, I think, should be our committee structure. I agree a lot with what Carlo and Rose said. You have informal discussion, you're able to really sit there and discuss the issues the way they need to be discussed. And if there's an issue on another committee that I don't serve on, there's nothing stopping me from attending that meeting and learning and having, bringing forth my input. So I prefer that we go back to our old committee structure. I think it works.
Alderman Keeler?
I was just going to say, there was a couple things I liked about the committee as a whole, but on the overall scope, I think the committee structure is better. What I liked about the committee as a whole is that without attending other meetings that maybe I had to work or I had something to do, I can know what was going on in each of the committees, and I like that. But I think that it was not as effective. I think we got a lot more accomplished in the committee, a smaller setting, and then brought it in to the city council. But I did like knowing what was going on in one, with all the committees in one setting.
Any other comments, questions? Alderman Lund?
I was going to kind of bring that point up. The problem with committee is that if your committee for discussing everything for hours and nights or however long it takes you, then you bring in city council with 4 members who are on that committee. Now we got to discuss it here all over. That's one disadvantage of the committee. Chris is proposing committee whole, city council meals, city council, and that, not two. So I think I kind of prefer discussing everything from everybody at one time, rather than discussing this multiple times with the same issue. And as far as people showing up committees, we can certainly speak at any meeting we have, we hold a committee, and all meetings I chair, I remember 2-3 people every now and then from the administration and all that. See every now and then there's a developer, and there's a lot of people want to talk to the committee council.
Any other comments, questions?
As far as not attending or attending other committee meetings, I believe within a day or two, the committee meetings, they're all taped, and they're available on our webpage. So if an alderman is not a member of a certain committee and wants to hear the discussion, they're free to go on the webpage and listen to whatever meeting they missed. I do that all the time if there's something there.
That's, I've almost gotten an accident, still was not
Is there audio quality better than the thing we're taking on TV?
Oh, yeah, on the tapes, yeah. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Just a couple things. This is not about finding an easy way out. That's by no means what this is. I think in the instances we've had here, we've done our thorough job. We've actually had more time to review the packets. We actually have 5 days to review our packets as they're put out there on Thursday at noon. So there's a little more time to review the packet. Some of them are a little bigger. Same amount of paperwork as what would be reviewed if you were going to your different committee meetings and to your city council meeting. It's the same amount of paperwork, it's just consolidated. In the very get-go, yeah, there was a little bit of a issue getting that first packet put together. This is the communication issue we have here. This gives a larger venue for people to be able to communicate, come up and stand up and talk. Yes, we do lose a little bit of the intimacy, obviously. That's one part that we do take away is some of the ability to go back and forth and relate. I don't think that that's gone because us as elected, we still have that. We can talk to any of our residents at any time. They know how to get a hold of us. If they don't, there are ways they can find that. This doesn't take away any ability for us, I don't think, to communicate with our residents. This actually puts it out there more publicly for the residents to get out there. This would give us 4 chances for residents to come out, stand up, air their grievances, discuss issues with us. We may not be able to interact as openly, but this is an opportunity, I think, that we have to get more information out there, to be more transparent, and to work with the community. And speaking of the time, our business portion of these meetings has basically been close to equal to that of some of our committee meetings. So basically taking 4 committee meetings and putting them into a committee of the whole, there's only one that was actually longer than the average of our 2 largest committee meetings. So I think we've been actually pretty productive having all 8 sitting in this council chamber discussing the issues and moving forward.
Okay, and there's no right or wrong way. I mean, many communities use both models out there. One thing on the upside of this format that no one has mentioned is that all the meetings are on TV. You know, whereas committee meetings are never taped. You don't get to watch them on TV, but you do have the audio.
Can't understand it, though.
Yeah, there's a.
But you can see them there, though.
Okay,
That's another negative.
if there's no other comments, why don't we, put this to rest. Roll call, please.
Hunt,
Aye.
Spear,
Nay.
Leximo,
Nay.
Mountcastle,
Aye.
Wilczewski,
Nay.
Seeley,
Nay.
Hope,
Nay. Nay.
Pat.
Nay.
Motion fails. So we will be going to committee meetings next month. There's no Public Works Committee report. Okay, now the Aurora Area Visitor and Convention Bureau. I'll entertain a motion to approve a sixth amended intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
I would move to table the,
You need a motion and second on the table. The motion. You need a table, so someone make a motion.
So moved.
Okay, a second.
I want to support
Okay,
it.
now, go ahead.
now I move to table it to,
Yeah, they with the committee, EDC
table it to
maybe?
committee. EDC. It's all yours, Mark.
So we need a second on the
Second.
Um, roll call on the motion to table.
Spears,
Aye.
Leximo,
Aye.
Mountcastle,
Aye.
Wilczewski,
Aye.
Seeley,
Aye.
Hope,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Levis.
Aye.
Okay, next is Kindlewood Estates Development Agreement Amendment, and there is no ordinance in the package, it's discussion only?
Correct.
Okay. So this is before us in front of the cow. The Kindlewood, we discussed sending notice out to residents about the flooding issues that was done.
Yes.
Okay. I think there's some more information as far as staff recommendations on the letter of credit reductions.
Correct. The development agreement still has to be drafted. We did contemplate bringing that back to the September 11th city council meeting, but Christie had drafted up a nice policy framework of what that development agreement will say. The structure of the agreement is going to be similar to what we've done in Blackberry Woods. We did it in Grand Reserve and other subdivisions, where basically you draw a box within the subdivision and you say, we're okay with releasing letters of credit or reducing them within that box, but you're not going to touch basically dirt within that area until you repost new letters of credit at an approved dollar amount. So we do propose to retain letters of credit and bonds for things that are in the ground and are vital to be basically preserved for a future developer. So the water and sewer system, some drainage issues, some erosion control. So that's a general framework of the discussion. The specific proposal that the developer is seeking, which we're comfortable with as long as we make sure we draw that geographic area, takes the letters of credit down from about $2 million to like $350,000. So again, it still has to be drafted and then brought back to the front of you.
Okay, so at this point, are there any comments or questions, or wait till it comes in? I don't know if he's capable of it.
Illegal. From what I got from the letter, they want some of their money back. But they can't get their money back until they finish building, which they haven't done, they've all created a disaster.
No, that's not the case. And right now, the property is in foreclosure. Okay, the bank is looking to sell the property, or someone looking to purchase property. But the property has these letters of credit on there. He is not looking to develop the property at this point, is my understanding. So he's just going to let the property sit until the economy gets better, things get better, and lower the letters of credit for infrastructure that is not going to be put in at this point.
Part of the proposed deal that we would talk about in the agreement is the existing property owner wants to basically fix some of the issues on the land with some of the retaining walls, the water and sewer. So we are proposing that there will be some work done on site, basically to stabilize everything prior to us approving it, or that it be contingent upon it. So we are talking about work being done on site.
Who's paying for that work being done on the site?
The existing landowner. So I think it's Castle Bank is the organization that currently owns it.
And then, would you please state your name for the record, so the minute taker?
My name is Susan Mackey, I live on Van Allen, and I'm still cleaning up from the mess from the first sewer that they started digging. I still have water in my basement. My neighbor next to me still gets water in the basement, and I've never improved anything, which caused disaster flooding in 5 or 6 of the houses on the lot, and I still have that. That's from him digging sewage, having retention ponds running into the creek, creating an OSHA, had to come out, and an EPA had to come out and fight him because they were creating a mess, and I'm still suffering the consequences from the dam. And he wanted to go green, he cut down half of the trees. There's nothing green out there. So every time it rains, heavy, I get water in my basement, he gets water in my basement, and probably a few other neighbors. And nothing's been done to satisfy anybody, except I'm paying a bill for extra sewage, and I'm not septic.
Okay, well, like we said, this is going to be coming back. Maybe in the meantime, you can reach out to the staff, they can answer any questions. Before the next meeting, feel free to reach out to staff. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, any other questions, comments on that one? We will be seeing it again. Next is the downtown Brownfield Phase 3 study. I'll entertain a motion to approve a Brownfield study engineering agreement with Engineering Enterprises, Inc. and Terracon Consultants, Inc. as presented and authorized the mayor and city clerk to execute. So moved. Second. Comments or questions on this one? This is for the area downtown on the east side, which was the old FS property. We started the Phase 1 study a number of years ago and never followed through on it. Now the area is looking to develop, so we are wanting to go through the study.
And TIF funds will cover Yorkville's portion, correct?
Yep. Okay, if there are no comments or questions, roll call, please.
Rosebud,
Aye.
Monpelzer,
Abstained.
Krasinski,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Vogt,
Aye.
Hot,
Aye.
Buttons,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Okay, next we have Public Safety Committee report, an item that was pulled up in the consent agenda. Well, I will entertain a motion to approve code amendments, disorderly conduct and possession of drug paraphernalia, an ordinance adding the offenses of disorderly conduct and possession of drug paraphernalia to the York City Code, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute. And an ordinance establishing minimum fines for ordinance violations, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
I pulled this off because there's no memo with this, so I just was trying to figure out what the difference was in the changes. Just thought it should be on the record, and it's easy to follow a memo, I like this.
Chief, did you want to?
Yeah, if you could, I pulled up a packet from Kyle from the 14th, and it's in the 14th packet, so no, it didn't make it into today's packet. I'm looking at it right now, it was some minor verbiage changes. They changed some of the code numbers to wrong, and there's also a couple abbreviations and small spelling errors, but there was nothing changed in the core of the ordinance. But it is in the 14th Cal packet, it's just in the city council packet, we changed it.
And answer your question?
That's it.
Any other questions or comments on that one? Roll call, please.
Monpelzer,
Aye.
Krasinski,
Aye.
Sealing,
Aye.
Vogt,
Aye.
Hot,
Aye.
Buttons,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Rosebud.
Aye.
We have no admin committee report, no park report. Plan commission, we do have one item. I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending the requirements in the Yorkville subdivision control ordinance regarding completion of improvements and bond procedures and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved. Second.
Christie, do you want to give us a quick background on this one? I know this was passed unanimously at the plan commission.
Sure, this initially came up in our discussions in the boards committee, where we were addressing all the issues of bonding and the timing of bonding and calling of bonds and the process and procedures for using of credit. We brought it before the plan commission, for the public hearing. They recommended it unanimously and bringing it back to the city council. Just verify all the things that we already discussed and how
It just tightens the whole ordinance up.
Reorganizes it in a usable fashion to a usable piece of paper.
Any comments or questions on this one?
Just a quick question. Can you just clarify again to me, and I know you've done this before, is when does it affect the developers? Like, does it start with everybody, or once their annexation agreements are up, or can you just?
Sure. Some of the tracking policies will affect everyone. So
Okay.
as far as bonds are outstanding now, we'll start using this tracking system, the protocol, and reaching out to those to see where they are on their ways of credit and bonds. And then we'll move from there. But in new development, then they'll have to do some of the new initiatives and institute a public improvement completion schedule, where we have to adopt that, and then anybody who does not complete any development within 4 years will have to come before the city council and ask for a extension.
Roll call, please.
Heather,
Aye.
Krzyzewski,
Aye.
Seeley,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Munns,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye. No ZBA report, no city council report, no clerk's report. Is there a clerk's report? No city treasurer report. City treasurer is incapacitated. We wish him the best in speedy recovery. He will be going for surgery. Meeting liaison reports. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On August 23rd, I attended the KenCom Executive Board meeting. The board reviewed and approved Financial Committee's July 2012 report, the Treasurer's July 2012 report, the operations, surcharge bills for payment, and approval of anticipated expenditures. The director also gave a project update report. The board then discussed the Public Safety Center lower-level lease agreement between Kendall County and KenCom. Comments were similar from Plano, Yorkville, and Newark. The comments included the length of the 10-year lease. It was recommended the terms of the lease be for a period of at least 30 years rather than the 10 years that was proposed. After the loan is paid in 10 years, there was additional discussion regarding the optional rental payment plan, indicating the tenant shall pay the landlord rent for the said premises in the amount of $45,000 per year in year 11, with an annual increase of 2.5% for years 12 through 20. Several board members objected to this optional rental payment plan. Board members also questioned how the county arrived to the $45,000 and 2.5% increase per year after the 10 years. They were told that the county spent $250,000 to relocate KenCom to the basement. This location was a tremendous cost savings to KenCom if they decided to relocate to an outside location. After another lengthy discussion on the terms of the lease, Yorkville, Plano, Village of Newark, and the Newark Fire Department voted nay. 7 board members voted aye, and 1 board member voted present. So the motion passed. However, it was determined that 2 cities could veto the vote at the next board meeting, and it would take a supermajority to pass. Plano is discussing this at their next city council meeting. And I would like to request a consensus from our council regarding the veto process. If we should proceed with that, what is the general consensus here? The board then agreed to make the first quarterly $25,000 lease payment that is due September 1st, 2012, since the board previously approved the 10-year lease. And the next item of business was Code Red. As previously announced, Code Red is ending November 1st. The Sheriff's Department is reviewing various options to replace Code Red. Several options offered included administrators in the Public Works Department could have their own separate lines for emergencies such as street closings and items like that. This is not included in the current budget and would be an additional cost sharing divided among the Kent County members. Code Red currently costs $25,000 annually. And the board then requested additional vendor information. Vendor demonstrations will be arranged. Optional dates to conduct the demonstrations will be submitted to board members for concurrence. All Kent County members, staff, and first responders will be encouraged to attend.
So do we have another council meeting before the next CANCOM meeting?
The next CANCOM meeting, I believe, is September 27th.
We do have another meeting? So we should put that on the agenda to discuss our position.
Right.
Or I can go to public safety. We don't even have dates for committee meetings. We do? Do we?
Yeah, the September calendar is out for committees. It's with the old schedule.
Well, we have time to send public safety and then back here?
Safety's next Thursday, so yeah.
Okay, let's put it on public safety agenda. Chairman, are you on public safety?
Public Works.
I like your public safety. Okay.
There's one more item. I did get an email this afternoon. In our executive board meeting, we asked to see if it was too late to remove the 911 surcharge from the referendum on the November ballot. And I got an email indicating Debbie Gillette said it was too late to remove it. So it's going to be on the ballot.
Any other community liaison reports? Yes, sir.
I have two. The Aurora Area Visitors and Convention Bureau. I attended the board meeting just after our last CAL meeting and updated them on our position. Needless to say, it was generally hostile. The majority of their vocalness came from those members who are not of the 10 paying members. And there was one municipality that does pay into it that was supportive of our position. But it was not a very pleasant meeting by any means. One comment was that we could bring down the entire organization if we back out. So, for that, we'll have more discussion. I've talked to their executive director, and he does want a chance to come back and talk a little more, so that'll obviously be something that he comes back and discusses now that there is another proposal, another option out there for us. So that's a real quick update on that fun meeting I had.
And he does have a meeting tomorrow morning with our hotel operators regionally.
Yes, he is actively trying to talk to them, garner support, and have them come forward and convince us to stay with the organization. So that's his intent. Whether or not they will do that, that is to be determined. That's for them to decide. So, but he is actually moving forward with that. Also, attended school board meeting last night. I have a few notes. They presented their budget last night. I'll just go through a real few highlights of what that entailed. A couple general comments that were made. A couple of comments that don't necessarily, that are not very relevant or not 100% relevant to us. But it was the school board does not control the tax cap, that the state controls that, and that people should put their efforts in voting out the tax cap. School, and that was a couple of general comments in terms of their position on the tax revolt, their organization, those efforts. So that's, if you can read between the lines, their stance on how that is and what they're saying about that. Regarding the budget, real quick numbers, they're using a 3% increase for CPI as compared to the 1.5% in the prior year. Their expenditures, salary goes to 58% with 13 and another 13.5% being benefits out of their total expenditures. They have an increase in their special ed co-op by $1 million or 16%. They increased their Comcast by $50,000 so that they could achieve their high-speed internet throughout the entire district. They have also added $1.2 million in full-time employees for teaching staff, as well as just a couple other increases. They also do have a $1.5 million Yorkville High School construction line item, and they're also increasing their tort insurance by $60,000 for reasons that they had with their insurance. They do have public hearing for the budget on September 26th, so that's their budget's on display, but the public hearing is September 26th. On another side of that, following up on the school construction, a letter was sent out regarding that for their steering committee. They are currently in the process of moving forward with construction. They have a design timeline out there as they are going to try to self-fund the first phase of $1.5 million. That's going to be a expansion of the high school focused specifically on the education wing, and they are putting together their design advisory team of 92 participants in order to come up with the designs that they want to move forward to. They have a few different points in it, but in terms of the public, when they start interacting, October 2nd is their first meeting in order to select their 92 members. And basically by October 22nd, they want to be coming forward with new plans for their expansion process.
Anyone else?
I have one. I was asked to announce that this Friday night, 6 p.m., the City Council will take on the Park Board for our second annual Tips Challenge with the beer tent. And both groups donate the money to charity, so it's a real good cause. At 6 p.m. Friday night.
Is that Friday or Sunday?
Friday.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Big tip night.
I wish we could do this.
Remember when your royalties fly over. You're a council member now.
That's Friday night, 6 o'clock. Sounds like fun. I have a conference call with Congressman Holtgren Thursday, I believe, about the Prairie Parkway. You know, with the feds pulling their support, you know, I know he's fighting hard to keep that money that's earmarked for that highway here in Kendall County. We have all the mayors and administrators from Kane and Kendall are going to be on a conference call Thursday morning. So we would ask them about that town hall meeting last week, but we did not know about it. Okay, if nothing else, we'll move on to staff reports. Any staff reports?
No report.
Any additional business?
I would just like to personally thank the other individuals that submitted letters to fill the position of Alderman Ward 1. And I think that we had several very, very good candidates. And hopefully we'll have other people running next election.
Any other additional business? I know they're setting up the carnival out there. Hometown Days is this weekend. Starts Thursday night. There's a fourth night added. Kind of got it on staff a little bit today. I don't know if we planned this thing during hurricane season. We got a little rain in the forecast, maybe Friday and Saturday, but hope not cross your fingers. Hope to see everyone at Hometown Days this weekend. We do have an executive session for litigation.
Pending litigation.
So entertain a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation.
Yeah, really.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sears?
Aye.
Machewski?
Aye.
Lozano?
Aye.
Pat? Pat? Sorry.
Aye.
Montgomery?
There will be no action taken after executive session.
I think,
We're gonna get the numbers together. They're doing a website.
chairs can drive me nuts.